Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something that we all face at some point in our lives. It's a journey that is not always easy, but it is a journey that holds the key to your peace, to your healing, and ultimately to your freedom. I'm talking about the journey to forgiveness. Now, we often think of forgiveness as something we do for someone else. We tell ourselves that if we forgive, it's for them, but forgiveness is never truly about the other person. It's always about you. You are the one who gets to decide whether you will remain trapped in the past or if you will move forward into the future. Forgiveness is not excusing someone's wrongs. It is releasing the hold those wrongs have on your heart. It's letting go of the power that anger, bitterness, and pain have over you and choosing to live in freedom. You see, when we carry around unforgiveness, we're not only holding on to the hurt others have caused us, but we're also holding ourselves hostage. Every day that we choose not to forgive, we give away our peace, our joy, and our strength. But when you choose forgiveness, when you decide to release the past and let go of the hurt, you create space for healing to begin. And let me tell you, healing is the beginning of transformation. Your heart begins to soften. Your spirit begins to rise, and you begin to live in a freedom you never knew was possible. Forgiveness isn't always easy. It requires courage. It requires bravery. It takes strength to forgive someone who has hurt you deeply and even more so to forgive yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what happened was okay or that the person's actions were justified. It simply means that you're no longer going to allow the past to control your future. You're choosing peace over pain, freedom over chains. And here's the thing, you're not just forgiving someone else. You also need to forgive yourself. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one staring back at you in the mirror. How often do we carry guilt, shame, and regret from things we've done or things we didn't do? How often do we allow those past mistakes to define who we are today? But here's the truth, you are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are worthy of love, grace, and compassion. And the first step to stepping into that love is forgiving yourself. It's time to let go of the guilt and the shame that have been weighing you down. It's time to stop punishing yourself for the things you cannot change. You deserve to walk in the fullness of who you are, and the only way to do that is through forgiveness. The forgiveness of others, yes, but most importantly, the forgiveness of yourself. So today I encourage you to take that first step on the journey to forgiveness. Release what's been holding you back. Let go of the hurt, the anger, the guilt, and the shame. Choose healing, choose freedom. And most importantly, choose peace. Because when you forgive, you don't just free someone else, you free yourself. And that is the greatest gift you can ever give to your own heart. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood concepts in our lives, yet it holds immense power to transform the way we live, love, and heal. Many of us think forgiveness is about excusing what someone has done to us, about brushing aside the pain they caused or pretending it never happened. But forgiveness isn't about condoning an action or denying the hurt. No, forgiveness is about you. It's about reclaiming the power over your life that was lost when someone else's actions left a mark on your heart. Understanding forgiveness is the first step toward finding the freedom you may not even realize you need. When we hold on to unforgiveness, it's as if we're carrying around a heavy bag filled with resentment, bitterness, and anger. That weight drains our energy, clouds our joy, and limits our potential. It doesn't hurt the person who wronged us. They might not even know or care, but it hurts us. It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Forgiveness is the antidote. It's a decision, not an emotion. It's choosing to release the weight of that burden, to set it down and walk away from the pain that's been holding you back. But let's be real, choosing forgiveness is not easy. It doesn't come naturally when you've been wronged, betrayed, or deeply hurt. Our first instinct is to protect ourselves, to build walls, and to nurse our wounds. We replay the offense in our minds, thinking that if we hold on to the anger, we're somehow maintaining control. Yet the truth is, the longer we hold on to the pain, the more control it has over us. Forgiveness is not about letting someone else off the hook. It's about releasing yourself from the prison of pain and reclaiming your peace. Understanding forgiveness also means recognizing that it's not a one-time act. It's a process. Sometimes you forgive someone today and tomorrow the hurt comes flooding back. You might have to forgive again and again until the wound begins to heal. That's okay. Forgiveness is not about forgetting what happened. It's about remembering without letting it control you. It's about choosing to heal instead of hurt, to rise above instead of staying stuck in the same cycle of pain. Forgiveness is also a powerful act of faith. It's trusting that there's a bigger picture, that the pain you experience can be transformed into purpose, and that the strength you develop through the process will make you better, not bitter. It's releasing the offense into the hands of God, knowing that justice and restoration are not yours to carry. Forgiveness is surrendering the need to make sense of the senseless and finding peace in letting go. And let's not forget, forgiveness isn't just for others, it's for you too. We can be our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and refusing to let go of our own mistakes. But just as you extend grace to others, you must extend grace to yourself. Self-forgiveness is an act of courage and acknowledgement that you are human, flawed, and in need of mercy. It's about accepting the person you were, embracing the person you are, and believing in the person you are becoming. So what does understanding forgiveness really mean? It means recognizing that forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It's an act of self-love, a declaration that you refuse to let past pain dictate your future joy. It's a choice to live lighter, freer, and fuller. It's a commitment to healing, to growth, and to peace. And once you truly understand forgiveness, you'll discover that it's not a weakness, it's the greatest strength you can ever possess. The healing power of forgiveness is something that transcends the moment of hurt and touches every part of our lives. When we talk about forgiveness, we often think about letting go of someone else's wrongs, but the truth is, forgiveness is a transformative act that begins with us. It starts in our hearts with a decision to release the burden we've carried for too long. Holding on to hurt doesn't hurt the person who wronged you. It hurts you. It weighs you down, robs you of your peace, and keeps you bound to the very thing that caused you pain. But when you forgive, you unlock a power that not only sets you free, but also opens the door to healing in every area of your life. Forgiveness is not about condoning bad behavior. It's not about excusing actions that were hurtful or wrong. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past or invalidate the pain that was caused. What forgiveness does is this: it allows you to stop being the victim of your past. It releases the stranglehold of bitterness and resentment that keeps you tethered to an event, a person, or a situation that you can't change. It's about choosing to take back your power. You can choose to live in the past, weighed down by anger and resentment, or you can choose to move forward, lightened and liberated by forgiveness. The choice is always yours. When we carry around unforgiveness, we think we're holding on to something or someone who hurt us, but in reality, we're only holding on to our own pain. That pain becomes a lens through which we view the world. It distorts our relationships, it affects our decisions, and it keeps us from experiencing the fullness of life that we were created for. But when you forgive, the chains that bind you to that past hurt are broken. And what happens is not just an emotional release, but a healing that spreads across your entire being, your spirit, your mind, and your body. Forgiveness has a healing effect on your physical health too. Studies show that holding on to grudges, anger, and resentment can manifest as physical stress, headaches, muscle tension, and even high blood pressure. Unforgiveness eats away at your vitality. It steals your joy, and it makes your body weary. When you forgive, however, you lower that stress. Your body becomes more relaxed, and your energy is restored. There is a profound healing that happens when you choose peace over bitterness. It is not just emotional, it is physical as well. Forgiveness also creates space for spiritual growth. The act of forgiving is a choice that aligns you with your higher purpose, with the divine energy that created you. It allows you to tap into a peace that surpasses understanding. When you forgive, you open yourself to the possibility of grace and mercy, not just for others, but for yourself. You become a vessel through which love flows freely, not tainted by the barriers of hurt and anger. Forgiveness transforms the heart and spirit, making space for greater love, joy, and peace to take root within you. In our relationships, the healing power of forgiveness is immeasurable. Unforgiveness blocks communication, builds walls, and breeds division. But when we forgive, we begin to heal not just ourselves, but our relationships. We create a safe space for connection, understanding, and growth. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean that everything goes back to how it was before the hurt, but it does open the door to a new kind of relationship, one built on mutual respect, love, and understanding. It fosters an environment where trust can be restored, where healing can occur, and where new beginnings are possible. When you forgive, you are not doing so for the person who hurt you. You are doing it for yourself. You are doing it because you understand that you deserve to live free from the pain that has held you captive. You deserve to walk in the fullness of your purpose, unburdened by the weight of old wounds. Forgiveness is an act of love, a love for yourself and for those around you. It is an act that opens the door to healing and restoration, both in your heart and in your life. This healing is not just a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. Sometimes forgiveness is something we need to revisit, especially when old hurts resurface. But the more you choose to forgive, the more you will experience the deep healing that forgiveness brings. It's a healing that makes you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. It's a healing that prepares you for the next chapter of your life, where you are no longer held back by the weight of your past, but instead propelled forward by the peace and freedom you've gained through forgiveness. So I encourage you today to embrace the healing power of forgiveness. Choose to release the burden of bitterness, let go of resentment, and allow yourself to experience the peace that comes when you forgive. Healing is waiting for you, not in the future, but right here, right now. It's available in the act of forgiveness. Take that step and experience the transformation that comes when you decide to forgive. Forgiveness is not for the faint of heart. It's not something that comes easily to anyone, no matter how spiritually strong we may think we are. Forgiveness takes courage. It takes an immense amount of strength to look at the pain, the betrayal, the hurt that someone has caused you and say, I'm going to let that go. It takes courage to release the anger, to move past the resentment, and to stop rehearsing in your mind the wrong that was done to you. It takes courage to choose peace over pride, to choose healing over holding on. The truth is, when we don't forgive, we carry around a weight. That weight may not always be visible to the world, but it's heavy. It weighs on your heart, it weighs on your spirit, and it weighs on your future. Every time you hold on to the past, you keep yourself anchored in the pain of it. But forgiveness is the key that unlocks those chains. And unlocking those chains requires strength. You have to be brave enough to release the bitterness that has taken root in your soul and allow yourself to heal. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you condone the behavior. It doesn't mean that you let people walk all over you or that you allow the hurt to keep happening. What forgiveness means is that you refuse to let what they did control your heart any longer. You take your power back. You stop being a prisoner to the pain of the past. You make the decision to move forward, not because they deserve your forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. It takes courage to forgive because you have to confront the reality of what was done to you. You have to face the raw emotions, the injustice, the betrayal, the hurt. It's easy to want to ignore those feelings or bury them deep inside. But when you bury your pain, you bury your power. And as long as you hold on to unforgiveness, you're still letting that person, that situation, that pain have dominion over your life. Forgiveness requires you to let go of the bitterness that's been holding you hostage. It requires you to stop letting your mind constantly revisit the wrong done to you over and over again. And let's be honest, when you're hurt, that's often what you do. You replay the offense. You think about the words they said, the actions they took. You keep seeing it in your mind again and again and again and again, and each time it feels like a fresh wound. But forgiveness is about choosing to stop the cycle. It's about saying, I won't keep this pain in my heart anymore. I won't give it the power to shape my emotions, my thoughts, or my life any longer. Now, some of you may be thinking, but you don't know how deeply I've been hurt. You don't know what they did to me. You don't know how hard it is. I get it. I know that sometimes the pain is deep and the wounds are raw. But let me tell you this, you are not weak for feeling that hurt, but you will become stronger when you choose to heal. Every time you forgive, you take a step closer to emotional freedom. Every time you forgive, you choose to rise above the hurt and be the person you were meant to be. And that takes immense courage. Forgiveness doesn't happen in a day. It's a process, and it may take time, but you have to be willing to take that first step. That step where you decide, no matter how painful it is, that you will no longer be bound by the past. That step where you choose to forgive, not just for them, but for yourself, so you can live freely, so you can move forward, and so you can thrive. The courage to forgive doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you're stronger than the situation that tried to hold you down. It means you refuse to let the wrongs of others dictate the direction of your life. It means you are choosing healing over hate, peace over pain, and freedom over resentment. It is not an easy choice, but it is the most powerful one you can make. So I challenge you today, find the courage within yourself to forgive. Release the chains that have been holding you back and choose to walk in the freedom that forgiveness brings. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of healing. You are worthy of a future without the burden of the past weighing you down. And forgiveness is the first step toward that future. The courage to forgive will transform not only your relationships, but your very soul. Forgiving yourself is one of the most challenging yet necessary steps on the journey to healing. It's easy to forgive others. You can tell yourself that their mistakes or wrongdoings don't define them and that they are worthy of a second chance. But when it comes to forgiving yourself, it feels like a different story, doesn't it? How many times have you replayed a mistake, a missed opportunity, or a decision that you regret? How many times have you allowed guilt, shame, and self-blame to stand in the way of your peace? How many times have you beaten yourself up for something you can never change? Let me tell you something, your past mistakes don't define who you are. They are simply the lessons you needed to learn, the experiences you needed to grow from. The only way to move forward is to release the weight of those past mistakes. When you hold on to guilt, it only keeps you stuck at a place of self-criticism, robbing you of the joy, strength, and love that you deserve. You see, the truth is that you are human, and being human means that you are imperfect. It's in your imperfections that you are made whole. It's in the mistakes, the failures, and the setbacks that you discover who you really are and who you're meant to become. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean that you're excusing the mistakes you've made. It doesn't mean you forget about the consequences of your actions. What it does mean is that you are acknowledging that you are not perfect, and that's okay. Forgiving yourself means choosing to let go of the judgment that keeps you bound to your past. It means accepting the truth that yes, you've made mistakes, but those mistakes do not define your worth or your future. You are worthy of love, grace, and compassion, and it starts with you giving that love to yourself. Forgiving yourself is also about releasing the unrealistic standards you set for yourself. It's about understanding that you are not meant to be perfect. You are meant to do well. You are meant to evolve. You are meant to evolve. You are meant to learn from every experience, no matter how painful. So stop expecting yourself to be flawless. Stop holding yourself to impossible standards. Instead, embrace your humanity. Embrace the fact that you will stumble, but you will also rise. Embrace that the journey is not linear, and every step, no matter how difficult, is a part of the process of becoming who you were always meant to be. Forgiving yourself is an act of love, the most important act of self-care. When you release the weight of regret and self-judgment, you create space in your heart for healing. You create space for growth. You create space for peace. And when you forgive yourself, you unlock the potential to be the best version of yourself, the version you were always meant to be. No more hiding behind the walls of guilt. No more carrying the burden of shame. It's time to let it go and step into the future with a clean heart, knowing that you are worthy of every good thing that's coming your way. And remember, self-forgiveness is not a one-time thing. It's a journey. It's a process that takes time and patience. It's not about being perfect. It's about being willing to release the weight that's been holding you back. So every time you find yourself slipping back into self-blame, remind yourself, I am worthy of forgiveness. I am worthy of this. I am worthy of grace. I am worthy of love. It's time to forgive yourself, to embrace who you are, and to walk boldly into the future that awaits you. You are enough. You have always been enough. And it's time for you to start believing that. As we stand at the crossroads of forgiveness, let us remember that the greatest freedom comes when we release ourselves from the chains of our past. Forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, is not about erasing what has been done, but about embracing the lessons it has taught us. It's about choosing growth over guilt, love over shame, and hope over despair. The journey to forgiveness is a journey to freedom to live, to love, and to become the person you were always destined to be. It is a declaration that you are no longer defined by your mistakes, but by the strength it takes to rise above them. Forgiveness is not just a gift you give to others, it is a gift you give to yourself, a gift that says, I am enough, I am worthy, and I am moving forward. Today, I challenge you to take that first step. Release the burden, silence the inner critic, and embrace the healing power of forgiveness. Trust that your future holds greater promises than your past ever did. Trust that you are capable of extraordinary things when you let go of what no longer serves you. Forgiveness is not a weakness, it is a powerful act of courage. And in that courage lies the strength to transform your life. So step into that strength. Forgive yourself and watch as the weight falls away, clearing the path for a future full of peace, joy, and purpose. The journey begins with you. Now is the time.